If you can understand these 17 nodes, you can almost build any automation you want. So if you're a beginner to N8N, this video is very important for you. Right in front of me, you will be seeing a N8N workflow. Starting with the trigger node, of course, trigger is what decides when your workflow should wake up and start working. So we have a bunch of trigger. We have a schedule trigger. We could use an app trigger. I will not discuss this first. I will first discuss the schedule trigger. So we have schedule and we have a manual trigger. I think I have somewhere. Okay. So the thing is, with the manual trigger is you're only able to bring it once in the workflow. So if I click on this plus button and go to add another trigger, and then this is manual trigger. If I try to bring it again, it will say that error, only one manual trigger node is allowed in a workflow. So there are two ways this can happen. You can start a workflow manually, just like pressing this manual node, and then your workflow will be started. And the second thing is you can automate the process. So it's something like, I want this automation to start on Sunday at this time, or whatever you choose. So I will give you an example. Let's just bring these both to an automation. So I just pulled in a automation of a blog post. This is an automation, really complex, so please don't panic. I will explain what this does. So let's bring the manual node over here and just connect it with this workflow. So I would like to test what this automation does. In order to do that, I will connect a trigger with the start of the workflow, and when I click on the execute workflow, it will start working. Because I didn't do the integrations right now, it's not moving forward. But the point here is, if you want to test the automation right within the N8N, that is it working. Let me do this again. Execute workflow, look at this, and this is flowing. So that's completely fine. This is basically for testing purpose. You will not be using this in workflows that you will be selling to big companies. So this manual trigger is just for your own testing. Let's say that I want a blog post to be uploaded every Saturday. For that reason, I will bring the schedule trigger, which I can do by clicking on this plus button and then cross this and then add another trigger. And here you can see we have a lot of trigger. We have manual trigger, we have a on schedule trigger, which we just brought here, right? If I bring this to the canvas and then connect it to my workflow, just double click on this. So let's say I want it to trigger after every 1 minute. I will then write that 1 minute. If I want 1 day, I will write 1 day. So you would set it for weeks, for months, you could add custom. So this is how triggers work. So the one trigger that we have discussed is the manual. Of course, you will be using this for your own testing. The second is for schedule trigger. So let me cross this and delete this as well. Let's go to the plus button again and then action in app. So if you want a trigger to happen when a new row is added to Google Sheets, let me search Google Sheets and then just click on Google Sheets, and right at the bottom you can see trigger. Just click on this and you can see these three options. So whenever a new row is added, the automation will be triggered, or whenever a new row is updated, the automation will be triggered. I will just add whenever a new row is added, click on this. You could use this trigger as well. I'm just giving you an example. It doesn't make sense to add this trigger over here. So let's go back to our, basically we could use any kind of trigger. We could use Gmail trigger. Okay, let me show you how you can use Gmail trigger. Just click on this plus button and then let's search for Gmail. Click on Gmail, scroll down, and there we have a trigger. So on message received, let me click on this. We have a new trigger. So it could be something like whenever a new email is received, the trigger will go. Let's say whenever a new order email is received, the automation will do this, the automation will do that. So this is what a trigger does. And you would use a list of triggers, like whenever someone made a payment, you will then start this workflow. Or whenever someone sends a message in your Slack, or maybe Discord, maybe Notion, etc. Like, you can add any kind of trigger which is available within the N8N. And if it's not available in N8N, we have another option to use as well, which we will be discussing later in the video. So the next thing we have is action in app. So these nodes are what actually do the work in automation. So once the trigger starts the things, these nodes take action inside your whatever app you're using, Google Sheets, Gmail, whatever you're doing. So for example, they send a message, or add a new row, maybe send an email automatically. So trigger starts the workflow, but action in the app nodes are what makes things happen. They are basically the hands of your automation. So let me give you an example, that if we have a new row added, let me bring this over here. It could be something like, if a new row is added to the Google Sheets, then you will create a new member in MailChimp. So you can bring MailChimp just by clicking on this plus button, action and app. You would search from this list of apps, or you could also write MailChimp. If I click on MailChimp, you will be seeing a list of options. I will go to triggers, and then where is create? Okay, these are triggers. We don't want to use triggers. Create a member. Okay, so we already have this. You can create a member. So this is what the action node does. If I want some other application, like Gmail, writing an email to the user, we will also do that. If I go to action in app and search for Gmail, click on Gmail. So here we can see label actions: create a label, delete a label, get a label, get many labels. So where are the actions? Get a thread. Okay, so we have these message actions. We can send a message, and wait for response. We could do anything basically. So we can bring this here. Where is it? Okay, so we can bring it over here and do something like, if a row is added to Google Sheets, then send an email to maybe whatever email we have in the Google Sheet. So this is how you can use the apps in N8N. Okay, so the next thing we have is the data transformation. So from the title, of course, it has been clarified that we are transforming data, we are filtering data. What these node does is they filter or clean the data and organize everything. So for example, we have a sort node. Like, if you have ever been on Amazon.com, there is a filter option that you can sort this out from maybe the price low to high or high to low. So that's basically what this does, the sort node. Then we have the filter node. Okay, so I want you to think of a filter node like a coffee filter. You pour everything into it, but only what you want comes out. So for example, if you only want to see paid orders, or messages that include the word urgent, the filter node makes sure that only those continue going forward in that path, whatever the other path is. So this is what filter does. Then we have the split out. So there's one more thing. If you click on this node, if you click on any of these node, you will be seeing a docs option over here. If I click on this, it has then sent me to a documentation of split out. So of course, this is written by the professional team of N8N, and it's not like it's a lengthy document. It's very short, and if you read this, you will have an idea of what this node does. So we have the split out node, and use the split out node to separate a single data item containing a list into multiple items. For example, a list of customer, and you want to split them so that you have an item for each customer. So it's already clear that we split out data. If I zoom in on the icon of split out, you can see that there is one path coming, and then we are splitting it out to multiple paths. Then we have the merge node. So basically, if you have multiple paths coming in, you can merge all of them into just one path. So I will give you an example. Let me go back to my workflow of blog automation, and let me organize it a little bit like this, so yep. So as you can see that we're using a merge node over here. If I click on this, you will see the number of inputs, it's 2. But let's say that we had 4 paths over here, and we want to merge all of them. Let me control D, it will create a duplicate. Then select this again, control D, duplicate again. So I want to connect this to the merge. I want to merge all of these, but I don't have the option to do that right now. So what I'll do is I'll go to the merge node, and from number of inputs, I will say I have 4 inputs to do. Then you can see that we have input 3 and 4 as well. Now you can just merge all of them like this, and then they will just go to one path. Sorry, they will just be going to one path like this, and a blog will automatically be posted on WordPress. So that's how the merge node works. So now we have an idea of the trigger nodes, we have an idea of action in apps, we have an idea of data transformation. The next is the flow. So this is basically where you will be creating logics. So for example, if the customer wants a car, then I will send it to this path. But if the customer wants a bike, I will then send him to this path. So this is just a condition. If the statement is true, then take it to this path. If it is false, then take it to this path. Like if the customer wants a bike, take it to this path. If he wants a car, then take him to this path. But let's say that if you want more paths, for example, if this is true, if the customer wants bike, send it to this path. If he wants a car, send it to this path. But if he wants a bicycle, then send it to, but we don't have another option here. So for that reason, I'll go back to the plus icon, flow. As you can see that under flow, branch, merge, or loop, these are the nodes that we have. Then we will scroll down and bring the switch node to our canvas. And as you can see right now, we just have one path. So we want 3 paths. I will just double click on the switch node and add routing rule. We have 2, now we have 3. Now I'll just we don't have any name, 0 1 2 3 0 1 2, so I'll just rename this to bike, rename this to car, rename this to bicycle. Okay, so now we have 3 routes. So depending on your workflow, if you want more than 3, you can of course do that just by clicking on add routing rule. So this is basically a version of this, but it just has 2 paths. It just gives you the option of 2 paths, and the switch node gives you unlimited options. So if you're making a workflow that needs more paths, then you should be using the switch node. Then we also have more nodes. As you can see, we have the loop over items. We can loop it again and again. Then we have the wait. So basically what the wait does, of course, it waits. Okay, it just waits. If I double click on this, you can see the after time interval, um, 5 seconds. So I'll just give you an example by creating an automation. Let's say I'm just trying to do something on top of my head. I'm just trying to create an automation just in front of you. Let's bring this in. This is a Google Sheets. We have create a member. So whenever a customer fills in the form, like whenever a new row is added, MailChimp will create a member and then wait for maybe let's wait it for 30 minutes. Wait for 30 minutes. Let's connect this to this, connect this to this. Okay, then we will wait for 30 minutes. After that, let's say if I go to action in app and search for MailChimp, I am then seeing a list of options. Let's do something like mm, update a member. Let's do this. Update a member. The member will be updated. So whenever a new row is added, the automation is triggered, a new member is created, then we wait for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, the new member gets an update. So this is a flow, but we can of course go make it more complex. So how can we use if here? We could do something like if the user opens this email, then we will send him to this path. If not, then we will be sending him to this path. You know what, I will just leave it over here for you guys to just fill it up. I have something in my brain that will work, but this is a learning phase for you, so I want you to try it yourself. I think an account for MailChimp is free. You will have 500 emails for free. So just try it yourself. I just gave you an idea that this is something that you can do. And again, if you can think about it, you can of course create an automation on it. So the next we have is the core. For the core nodes, if an app doesn't exist in the N8N's build list, you can still connect it by using the HTTP request node. So the HTTP request node is your universal remote. Like you can connect to any app that has an API key. Let me click on this plus button and actions in app. If I click weather, open weather. Okay, so this is a currency rates API. Okay, we just have voice. Currency exchange rates API. Let me click on this. Get free key API. So as you can see that we don't have any app in the N8N, but we still want to connect to the exchange rate API. So in order to do that, we will use the HTTP request to connect to that app that doesn't exist in N8N. As simple as that. So the next node we have is the webhook. So the webhook, instead of N8N sending something, it's waiting to receive something. So HTTP is just like you make the phone call when you want to send or get a data, but with the webhook, it's like you're waiting for the phone to ring, and when the phone rings, you just hello, okay, start the automation, etc. So this is the difference between these both nodes. Okay, so the HTTP node is one of the most versatile nodes in H8n. It allows you to make HTTP requests to query data. It's a bit technical, so I don't want you to get scared from any app or service with a REST API. You can use the HTTP request node, a regular node, or attached to an AI agent to use as a tool. So this is basically if an app has an API key, you can just use it within the N8N. So this is what this means. The next nodes we have is the human in the loop. If I click on this plus button, you will be seeing human in the loop. If you click on it, you will see a bunch of applications: Discord, Gmail, Google Chat, Slack, Telegram, and so on. So normally the automation run completely on their own without asking any question. But sometimes you want a person to approve or confirm something before it continues. That's where the human loop nodes come in. They pause the automation, reach out to a human, let's say through an email, through a Telegram message, or whatever you choose. Wait for their response. If their response is yes, it will go to the yes path. If it's no, then it will go to the no path. Okay, so basically the workflow does the heavy lifting but stops for a moment to ask, hey, should I go ahead? Once you will answer, then the workflow will keep going on and on. So let's say your automation checks every new form submission. Most of them go through automatically, but if one looks special, a big order or a VIP client, like the items are more than 50, you might want to approve it manually to see that is it available in my inventory. So the Telegram or Slack, whatever you choose, it will send you a message that we have an order of this. Then it waits for your response that okay, yes, proceed, we can do that. So that's what human in the loop does. So this was it for this video. I hope you have learned a lot in this video. Again, if you can think about an automation in your brain, you can create that automation. Just ask ChatGPT, comment down, and maybe I'll respond to that comment. So this was it for this video. These were some of the notes that if you learn, you have just learned 80% of N8N. So see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe the channel and like the video because it helps more and more people. See you in the next one. Take care.